Hello, everyone. My name is Joe Lesnack. I will be presenting on surveillance, more specifically government surveillance. I feel like that fit in better for this presentation. But regardless, surveillance. Here's a quick overview. So we're going to be doing a little bit of an introduction. So what is surveillance? More specifically, what is government surveillance? We're also going to be touching base on the importance of surveillance, the controversy over it, as well as my main focus for the presentation, what we're going to be looking into. Next is surveillance with security. We're just going to be going over some benefits, and use cases. The dark side, so privacy, abuse, and social impact. Finally, we're going to combine those two together, so we're going to do a little debate, right? Or see what the debate is, safety versus privacy, and then we're going to finish it up with a conclusion, just to sum up everything that we've gone over. Quick introduction. So surveillance real quick. So the first one here that you see is just a simple definition from the Webster's dictionary. Very, very broad, general. The second one, a little bit more in depth, has some key points of the different surveillance here. But that is from the Cornell Law School. Regardless, though, I like a different one. We're going to explore the complex world of government surveillance. So that's surveillance that you see on the slide there, but we're going to be going over government surveillance like I mentioned. I found this from my sources, Slobogin and Brain. Government surveillance is the systemic monitoring and collection of information about people's activities by state agencies through wiretapping, facial recognition, data mining, and more recently, artificial intelligence and social media analysis. Very important, social media analysis. It's becoming a big one. Some other sources that I have a lot of them, but Pure Policy and the ACLU, so American Civil Liberties Union, they touch base on agencies like the NSA and the FBI continuously, they're gathering data from everyday technologies, which includes, our cell phones, the internet as a whole, and even social networks, just like I mentioned as well, social media. So the introduction continued here, so importance, controversy, and then my main focus for the presentation. Let's talk about 9/11 real quick. So there's a long history with surveillance, outside the United States, the world history within the United States, whatever it is. Pre 9/11, real quick. So the government agencies, they weren't really communicating with each other. So the FBI, for example, they were collecting their own intelligence. NSA was collecting their own intelligence. The CIA was collecting their own intelligence. Sometimes these agencies collaborated, and they were able to connect the dots. But 9/11 specifically, the FBI knew things like how the terrorists, they were learning how to fly in Florida. And then the CIA knew like the broader world scale that some groups were thinking about threatening or planning an attack within the United States. They didn't collaborate. They were butting heads. They weren't sharing intelligence. They didn't collaborate and connect the dots. But we talk about after 9/11 here. U.S. policies like the Patriot Act and FISA greatly expanded government powers under the banner of national security. Technologies like AI and biometrics, more recently, take surveillance to whole new levels, completely different levels than we've ever seen, making it an integral part of law enforcement and intelligence operations. The ACLU and Brenner Center for Justice warn, however, this expansion has fueled controversy over privacy, civil liberties, and potential abuse. Laws like Section 702 of FISA have facilitated mass data collections, sometimes with little transparency or oversight. So my main focus here is while surveillance can protect us, and it has, unchecked expansion threatens privacy and democracy. So we need to find a better balance. Surveillance for security benefits and use cases. So why is surveillance so important to modern security? We talked about a little bit about the pre. I gave you some insight about pre 9/11, what happened. Different agencies weren't touching base with each other. After 9/11, the U.S. and many other countries rushed to improve their intelligence gathering powers as well as collaborating and working together as a whole. The Patriot Act, more specifically for the United States, right, allowed for the bulk collection of communications which expanded FBI wiretaps and increased the use of surveillance courts. These powers are credited with stopping serious threats. If we talk about stopping threats abroad, the UK advanced surveillance technology is a cornerstone of the contest counterterrorism strategy. So they use that to stop a different bunch of plots and stuff. In India, CCTV and mobile tracking cracked the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks. So it's not only useful in the United States, but it's also useful abroad. Here in the United States, however, more specifically, advanced cyber surveillance helps law enforcement fight cyber attacks and disrupt criminal networks. Newer tools, we have AI for predictive analytics, facial recognition, biometrics, and satellite imaging, allow authorities to rapidly assess and neutralize hazards. These technologies can support real-time threat detection, emergency responses, and better data-driven policing. Surveillance has, in some cases, been essential to national defense, keeping critical infrastructure safe and foiling planned attacks before lives are lost. More recently, during the UN General Assembly in New York, NYPD, along with some other agencies, they were able to crack down and locate an apartment that had these SIM card servers. Some experts believe that was China or Iran, but they could have intercepted communication or clogged communication, so that if there was an attack that happened, then communications would have been down in the general vicinity. Just an example of that. Dark side, so privacy abuse and social impact. Despite these security benefits, there are serious risks associated with unchecked surveillance. Mass surveillance under the Patriot Act, FISA Section 702, and programs like PRISM and Upstream have enabled the government to collect data from millions of Americans, often without judicial warrants or transparent oversight. Privacy loss, as detailed by one of my other sources, Levinson Waldman, is not just a theoretical risk. Widespread monitoring of innocent people's communications can erode trust in government, chill free speech and association, and foster mistrust, especially among minority and activist communities. Think Black Lives Matter organizers or journalists, right? Often monitored by government agencies, as documented by the Brenner Center and ACLU. Some more of my sources here. Slobodan and Breen emphasize that much of the surveillance is enabled by powerful but secretive technologies: CCTV, facial recognition, AI-driven social media monitoring, important, that is often rolled out with independent study or community input. These systems have been shown to be less accurate and more invasive in minority communities and to contribute to social inequality. On the constitutional level, these practices challenge both the Fourth Amendment's protection against unreasonable search and seizure and the First Amendment's guarantees of speech and association. So you have some law there. We're going to move into some cases here soon. So the debate. So you have safety versus privacy. So supporters of it say, hey, nothing to hide, nothing to fear argument, right? Claiming that privacy is a fair trade for security. Okay, for sure it is, right? But privacy is a foundational right, integral to autonomy, free expression, and cognitive liberty. Slobodan and Breen argue that trading policy for perceived safety is both simplistic and dangerous. Judicial rulings like Riley v. California and Carpenter v. United States reinforce that digital data revealing location, associations, and beliefs deserve strong constitutional protections regardless of the state's interest in security. This is especially important because programs have repeatedly overreached or proved ineffective. And just to touch base on those court cases real quick if you're not familiar. So Riley v. California, it's from 2014. The Supreme Court ruled that police generally need a warrant to search and rescue a cell phone. And then Carpenter v. United States, which is more recent, 2018, this case decided that law enforcement usually needs a warrant to access historical cell phone location records from the actual phone company. So some court cases there, just to let you know what's going on the legal side of things. Recent laws and executive actions like extension of FISA Section 702 in the TikTok Destituture Law highlight potential for executive overreach and threaten to suppress speech in due process. To balance safety and liberty, scholars and advocacy groups call for reforms, stronger warrant requirements, rigorous public and congressional oversight, transparent policies, and technologies built with privacy in mind. I would say that's easier said than done. But we're going to finish off here, right? Finding the balance. What should be done here? So to conclude, government surveillance is a double-edged sword, right? It benefits national security and public safety, but our privacy. There's problems with privacy and the government being in our private lives. It keeps us safer, though, but also puts our fundamental freedoms at risk. All the research from all my sources, ACLU, the Brenner Center, Pure Policy, court rulings, legal scholars, points to the same lesson. We urgently need better safeguards. Right? The research in general, shows oversight, transparency, and periodic reviews of surveillance laws are essential. Legislative reforms like sunsetting, broad powers judicial review for invasive surveillance and public reporting can protect society without giving up our privacy or democracy. Healthy democracy demands both safety and liberty. As new technologies push boundaries, citizens, lawmakers, and courts must all reaffirm the need for careful balance and transparent, accountable government action. That concludes everything. Hope everybody enjoyed the presentation. I know I enjoyed doing all the research and looking into this stuff. Other than that, though, hopefully this shed some light on some things. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for your time.